Embodiment is inhabiting the body according to our values. Do we do what we say we do? Are we practicing what we preach?
I used to think spiritual healing was about incense, rituals, and some secret wisdom that other people had and could somehow pass down to me. But what if connecting to your spirit, to your bodies, your memories, even your pain isn't something you learn? What if it's something you remember, something that's already inside you? Today, we're talking about what it means to live embodied, to come back to your body, to the earth, and to that quiet rhythm that's been guiding you all along. This conversation is for anyone, whether you call yourself spiritual or not, who's ever wondered, how do I live in a way that feels true to me? Because healing isn't about chasing something outside of yourself. It's about coming home to who you already are. Welcome back to Rooted Exchange. Today, we're talking about something that is really special to me. It's a conversation about coming home to yourself, and there's no one better to guide us through that than Kelly Nye, the founder of Kelly Nye Wellness. She is an intuitive, a ceremonialist, a transformational coach, and my favorite, an embodiment facilitator whose mission is to help you remember that you are your own medicine. Kelly, thank you so much for being here today. Your work is something that I have experienced personally, and I'm really honored to share that with others. So I wanted to start at the beginning of your story and really the why behind your work. So, I imagine you didn't just stumble into this kind of work. It's something that called you. Can you tell us about your journey to becoming who you are and what experiences or initiations shaped the path that you're walking today?
Absolutely. Yeah, it feels so special to be here. So thank you for the invitation. Yeah, I always felt when I was younger kind of like a lone wolf. And I thought differently. I was extra sensitive and I wanted and I needed support, but I was given support in ways that felt really unnatural to me. I was gravitating for a long time to natural remedies. My body is asking for healing, but not in the traditional senses that I was being taught or that I had been raised with or exposed to at a younger age. So I've been through different types of trauma, physical, mental, emotional, sexual. I've been through it. And I started to really disassociate. And that is where embodiment found me. I wasn't as attuned to what was going on within. And it's so cliche, but it was yoga that really opened the door to me. I was like, wow, how do you breathe without having thoughts? And I started to attune to my breath and slow down and realize one of the most simple tools was just to start to breathe and inhabit my whole body. That was life-changing for me because I was starting to then notice all the distorted stories or belief systems that I grew up with. I don't have a beautiful body. I'm not good enough. Or, I'm alone has been a big belief that I've worked to dismantle, to integrate, to dissolve. There's many ways, but it's mostly about alchemizing that belief. Many things led me here. Right now, I'll just land on yoga was this stabilizing structure. Yoga helped me heal, and dance liberated me. There's so many parts of my story. I'm like, wow, what do I even say here? But it's like, there's just so many parts. And mostly it's just really about like coming home to the body, that it's a safe place for me to inhabit versus like disassociating and using all sorts of different substances and sex to find like some kind of feeling because I felt so numb was that the medicine that was going to help me was to feel again.
Yeah. I think it's such an important part of the conversation. There is this perception about healing that has been ingrained in us through the commercialization of our society in America. Pharmaceutical drugs, self care is presented as, buy these things, have candles, things that we put on in and around our bodies that are actually really toxic. And so, even just hearing you talk about moving into the things that make you feel in your most alignment, but the things that weren't supportive that we kind of perceive to be things that do support us, and stripping that away is actually one way to really move towards healing and being more connected with yourself. And so how did that bring you to want to work with others, finding yourself and that journey to work with women and men in the world who are also looking for that same energy and alignment?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of things that you said just a moment ago around like how we've just been conditioned to have this, to look like this, to feel this way, and then all these products that are supposed to support us but actually deter us. So taking things away, stripping things away. I just wish I had like a version of me or like grandmama or like, you know, I want to help people jump 4 steps ahead than having to work out all the things I've had to work out.
Yeah.
That's specifically part of my spiritual journey, but because I wouldn't be able to lead it or teach it or speak to it if I didn't experience it. And if I can help people jump timelines, then I'm here for it. If I can help people recognize within themselves that they are the medicine, that they
Mhm.
are worthy, it's also easier to do together. I did a lot of it alone. I like forged my path. Having each of us finesse and really connect with our intuition, helping people discover how to do that is going to be the greatest asset for humanity right now. And so that's what I'm here to help is just that pathway. If I can at least hold one door open, my work is done.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I'm thinking back to one of our first devotions together.
Oh.
For someone who is hearing this for the first time or not familiar with what embodiment is, can you explain what is embodiment? Is it real? Is it magic?
This is it. Are we living according to our values? Are we staying in the body instead of going out of the body and saying, hey, I'm going to choose to be with this emotion versus reaching for any number of things? It could be amazing things we reach for, like a fantasy book to
Mm,
get out, to go into another world because we don't want to just sit with this energy of grief. So,
yeah,
embodiment really is about choosing to be with all sensations and allow them to alchemize, allow them to be acknowledged and seen and witnessed and felt. Embodiment is it's a pathway to being more connected also to divine, to God, to spirit. But like in really simplistic terms, it really is about giving ourselves an opportunity to say, I am safe in my body, to feel and express myself in my fullness.
yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Just listening to that, like I'm thinking about how society today actually encourages the opposite, right? Is like dissociate as much as possible, be distracted by phones, by people, by things, but really it's pulling us farther away from that feelings. You started to touch on a little bit, but why is embodiment so important? What are those shifts when we start to live from inside of our body emotionally and mentally, and even in our relationships? What's at stake if we don't?
Peace. Yeah, if we don't choose to inhabit the body, if we if we choose to continue to reach for things that are not within us, there's a lackluster of life. There's a seeking of validation from other, which is a very interesting path many people, including myself at one point, has taken, and still I'm always navigating. Why did I do that? What's at stake is our peace. What at stake is harmony. What's at stake is a better world, the true restoration of the earth. What's at stake is creation consciousness as well. Just to be the pure creatives that we were born here to be.
Yeah, what shifts, our bodies emotionally, mentally, and I was just saying, like, even interpersonal relationships, right? How do people experience us, and vice versa when you're living in that state of embodiment?
When we're living in a state of embodiment, we're liberated and people want to be around us. We are magnetic and life is meant to be lived alive.
How can we choose what we embody more consciously?
Hmm. Yeah. I think it's really supportive to get to know what we value.
Yeah.
If we know what we value, then everything we do can be according to those values. That's what we taught. That's what we went over in devotion, is like really recognizing what is true for us, not what someone taught us to be true, not what society told us was right. Just really giving ourselves an opportunity to say, well, what do I value? Well, I love Mother Nature. So I'm like, I value time outside. Am I actually giving myself time to be outside? That is such a simple teaching, but it could bring so much joy into all of our lives if we really were clear with our values.
Yeah. It's such a powerful reframing for me. I used to think about embodiment as destination, and how you describe it is really more of a state that we're moving in and out of every day, and we get to choose how we sit in that and with what we are aligning with, which is also really powerful. What we get to choose, what we value, what are those things that we're going to give energy to. I want to talk a little bit about how does that show up in the body, and how do our bodies hold stories? So many of us carry memories and traumas that didn't start with us. They live in our families, our DNA, and even our nervous system from all of the input the world is giving us. How do you invite people to listen to what the body is saying, identifying those values, especially when it's carrying something that feels bigger than us sometimes?
Yeah. You said something earlier that really supports this. The piece that you said, we have to strip away.
Hmm.
Like, we really first have to strip away what is not ours. Do I want to keep walking this life with that energy? So, this would be kind of a process of cutting cords
Hmm.
and vows and contracts and agreements with all lives that I have lived or any of my ancestry. It's starting to come out of agreements with stuff that we might consciously know or have unconscious glimpses of, like I said, through dream work or daydream work or through a breathwork ceremony or through a medicine ceremony, and just recognizing I can let that go, but first we have to work on kind of the mental plane, like
Yeah.
acknowledging that this is present in the field. There's simple things like using smoke sage or selenite to lift weight from the body, energetic weight. And the lighter we become, the less it seems like things stick to us and keep us down and out.
Yeah, this will resonate with so many women who feel disconnected and unseen in their own journeys. And I also want to speak to women who might be on the fence, who identify with needing something new or different, but maybe afraid or skeptical to look at what's stored in their mind and their bodies or generational history. But what would you say to those women who are scared to dive into work?
Yeah. Two things come to mind right now. How free do you want to be? How long do you want to hold that weight? Start with a clearing practice and track that through a week's time and see, do you feel different? Do you feel lighter? Start to journal. What feels heavy in my life right now? And put pen to paper, actually scribing, and allow yourself to be witness in that process. And this work is meant to be done together. There's so many opportunities out there for us to be in community. That's why you're starting this podcast. So we know we're not alone, so we can hear each other's stories and relate with one another, but also receive tools to allow the journey to not be as chaotic. Most women just and men, like, we really need to be doing this work together. So I would say find support.
Yeah. Talking about it earlier, just this collective, the teachers and mentors that you had in your life, like there's something so inspiring about seeing this. I think a lot of us go through things alone. You were talking about the journeys that you had where you were the only one on that path. You can figure out a lot of things on your own, but I also truly believe having those parallel paths where you can learn and grow and witness each other is really where that collective can come from, and not having to feel alone in that journey while the path may be different, but that village of people who support you to help open up those new paths, I think is really critical, especially now more than ever. I feel like our society has pushed us to do it all ourselves. Instead of lifting each other up and finding those commonalities, we separate ourselves a little bit more. But I wanted to talk a little bit. You said something, and it just reminded me of the things that drove skepticism in me initially, or fear more likely, is that I felt loyalty to those moments or things that maybe protected me over time and led me to where I am today, but are heavy burdens to carry. How do we thank those parts of ourselves and our histories that maybe kept us safe or kept us progressing in the way to get to where we are today, but also allowing ourselves to relax and settle into a place where we can identify what are the things we want to let go of?
Hmm. It's so beautiful because through the question, you answered your own question out loud. And how do you thank them or move through them, um, alchemize these parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily want to, like, unearth? Well, it is by thanking them.
Mm.
It's by harvesting the gifts. It's by recognizing how these things that have happened to us, that also taking accountability, we were a part of, although maybe even children, we were a part of it, but it also we're recognizing it wasn't our fault, but based on this said thing that happens to us, example, like, um, parent yelling at child because child didn't clean up their room. Very, like, micro-esque, like, trauma, but this happens over and over and over again. And then so child is saying, My parent hates me. I'm not lovable. We need to see from the adult perspective now of this version of ourself when we were children is like, huh, how did my parent doing that in that way fortify me? Did
Mhm.
I built resilience to the energy of, someone speaking loudly around me in my own private space, but I developed resilience. Maybe I also developed I knew how to clean my room. How do we harness the gifts from the moment of a trauma or an experience that happened to us? What are the gifts? And can we honor, okay, like I knew how to clean a room. I developed resilience to this energy of dominance. I got tough. Like there's all those pieces. And so we just then work to do some inner child healing work somatically with breath, through movement, offering this child, in this example, all the things that that child needed to hear maybe when cleaning the room. Like recreating that experience to potentially heal it. One way to do that kind of work, but it's mostly about seeing the gifts and being super gentle in the process, using somatics to move through a lot of this breath work, yoga, dance, shaking, shake it out. That's probably one of the easiest tools all of us could do because of how much we hold in the body is just shaking, letting ourselves break down, not guilting or shaming or resenting any of ourselves for moving through this version of the process of letting go. And then
Yeah.
we fill with something amazing. Then we gift ourselves. Like, I would really love just like an amazing bath tonight, or I'm going to cook myself the most delicious meal, or I'm going to take an hour on my walk tomorrow instead of 10 minutes every day because we need positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
It's okay when I release, I then fill my cup.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something important that I don't think we give enough space and breathing room to is identifying the problem or identifying the pain and speaking kindness and love into that. I think a lot of people, myself included, going through this process is kind of getting stuck in that guilt and shame spiral and not being able to release it out of your body. You can mentally think it, but it moves through your body. And if you don't allow that space to physically discharge all of that energy, it just still sits in there, right? And still holds as a block too. Like you can only get so far down the path until you run into the same things, right? It's such an important part of movement to cleanse that or move through that process. We're talking a lot about healing, and I think we think a lot of healing is always negative and pain and discomfort and trauma that we experienced. But the other side of that coin is that going through difficult things also challenges us to invite in joy or accept joy and pleasure and happiness when it comes to us. There is some sort of stability in knowing how to manage difficult things and harder to welcome in happy things. So, why is it essential to welcome in good things and pleasure and laughter and ease, even while going through this deep healing?
Mm. Yeah, it's important because we need to give ourselves the opportunity to experience those parts of ourselves that maybe we've buried or demonized or are really unfamiliar with. And if we allow pleasure or grace or joy or play into our life, it can begin to override like the more detrimental energies that we've been embodying. It's kind of similar to, positive affirmations, but
Mm.
it's helpful to teach the body what expansion looks like. Because if we've been down and out and disassociated, we might close. So
Yeah.
even choosing to be in a shape with an open heart could be very vulnerable. But embodying the shape with the body could be very supportive to then facilitating or eliciting that compassion in the heart when maybe we felt really, really closed in the heart before. But it's incredible. If you just allow it, then there's this epiphany moment or like, aha, even just smiling
Mm.
actually changes your physiology and will start to produce the feel good chemicals. And it's like that saying, smile, everyone will wonder what you're up to. It works.
Is that where frequency kind of comes into play? You talk a lot about vibrations and frequency and how we can help call in those higher vibrations and frequency.
Frequency is vibration. There can be dense energy or there can be a light energy. Like, do you feel light or do you feel heavy? That's the easiest way to get frequency. It can be distorted. It can be you could be confused energetically, or you could be super clear. You could be contracted or you could be fully expanded. That's what frequency is. Frequency is vibration. Everything holds a vibration. And so something that's also interesting about frequency is that you can't be super negative and have a high vibration. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. No, you need to lift up your
Mm,
emotion so that you can live in a higher vibration. Joy, gratitude, enlightenment, connection, authenticity, right? Like, so that's what I love. Like, we get more free the more we allow ourselves to be us.
yeah. I mean, can you fake it until you make it? How does that come into play here? Kind of working through the crunchy parts of elevating your
Mm.
initial vibration.
Yeah, you probably have to do some shadow work before it really truly alchemizes. Like, you have to see the stuff, you have to feel the stuff, and you have to move through it. That's the practice of alchemy. Not all the time is it going to be really heavy. It might move really quickly. You just might need 3 breaths and all of a sudden, like, you freed this, like, belief that you've been carrying for 20 years. You could do hypnotic work and just reorganize the belief system just a tiny little bit. And all of a sudden, there's like a new lease on life.
Mm.
Um, I know it's so interesting that saying, fake it till you make it. I started saying with fake it till you become it, but I do believe it's very supportive in the process. Like, fake the body. So, like, show the body, my fake is show the body what it looks like to be big. Now, how do we allow the nervous system to inhabit that? Or how do we allow the nervous system to come into resonance with that while big? You probably need to practice it. That's the
Mm,
fake it till you make it. Show it till you become it. Do it.
mm,
The alchemical tool to change is
yeah.
action.
It sounds like if vibration is how energy moves through us, then embodiment is how we can give it shape. Is that fair?
I love it. So good. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Hmm.
Thinking about women and moms and people who support women in their lives, there's a lot of things, distractions, kids, relationships, work, whatever other stressors in life. How can we strip away the distractions? Most people are aware of the thing that is, they may not know what the thing is missing. They just know something is missing. And taking that first step into the realization phase.
A good question that could be supportive is if you're looking back on your life in 40 years from now, w- w- how do you feel? Do you feel liberated? Do you feel deeply connected to your family or your loved ones? Are you in relationship to your body? Projecting forward can support us see where maybe choosing to start being more embodied or walking according to our values or showing up differently in our life is helpful to see to start the process. Um and something I also like to look at is like, who do you look up to? Like, are you infatuated by someone who like markets fast fashion and like quick pleasures and a fragmented reality? Maybe you don't know it's even fragmented, but like a let's say a materialistic reality. Materialism isn't bad, but it's like how much of something is that serving you? And like, do you want to look back at me like, oh, I really care about all these things that I have, but I feel like a fraud.
Mm.
I never decided to pick up the paintbrush, and I've always wanted to paint. Or, I feel like I can't believe I stayed in that position in my career for 20 years. I wish I had quit and started another job. What are the qualities of energy that these beings you look up to carry? What did they do to get where they are? They maybe took some like risks. They probably failed a lot. They potentially started over more than once. Or maybe it was much smoother sailing for them. Who knows? Because we all have our own timelines. And I would also start with now.
Mm.
Are you happy in who you are? If you moved on to your next life, because I believe in past lives, but if you passed away today, would you feel fulfilled in your life? Would you feel good about who you are? That's kind of a wake up call. And it's a tender one. I don't know if I could have said that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Definitely not 10 years ago. Definitely not 15 years ago. But change can happen instantaneously. We can really shift our life quickly if we are open to having more support.
Want to bring it into the now that you just mentioned, this messy, beautiful, everyday life we all live. What is a little micro practice? What does practicing embodiment on a Tuesday afternoon when the world and life feels chaotic look like?
Hmm. Yeah, a 1 minute practice is my connection practice, connecting, sending our roots down from our tailbone down to the earth, through the legs, through our feet, deep, 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 deep into the earth. And connecting with the center of the center of the center of the earth. Possibly calling in a crystal that could support just the energy that you desire. Compassion, rose quartz, clear crystal, crystal quartz for clarity, amethyst, maybe for a more divine connection. And then wrapping the grounding cord around this crystal at the center of the earth. And just taking a moment to release and breathe weight, distortion, heaviness down through the body, just tracking from head to toe, watching it, even with light, move down through the body, supporting this release, offering it to the earth to compost. And then just kind of imagining like there's a filter between your feet and the earth, and then drawing up earth energy up into the body, up into the body, up into the body. And then opening, the crown of the head, allowing light of the highest frequency to come in, bathe you and fill you and nourish you. Allow these energies to merge, this really high vibrational light and this earth energy to merge. And then expand it outward and offer it. It's like a really simple grounding, clearing, and receiving practice. It could be 3 breaths in. Ah. 3 of those. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling with sound. Using sound is one of the deepest alchemical tools we all have available for free. And getting sunlight. If you can get light, early light, afternoon light, or your feet on the earth, bare feet on the earth, those 3-ish, 4 practices could very well continue to support you for the rest of your life if you practice them.
It's such an important reminder. We were talking about the destination earlier. It's not a destination. It is a practice. And living embodiment, being embodied doesn't mean being perfect or healed or past tense, right? It means, quite frankly, being in the present and sitting with what is and using those as a tool like we use anything to move through life is really special. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is such an important conversation for women and men, but especially women who are just going through a lot of things in the world today. And I just appreciate your vantage point and your gift to help us all live in a little more in our bodies today.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It was so fun, so pleasurable. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been just a really beautiful opportunity to share what has also supported me. And may it serve, may it serve, may it serve.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Kelly reminded us that embodiment isn't about perfection, and it's definitely not a destination. It's a practice. It's those small, honest choices we make every day to come back to ourselves and live in alignment with what we truly value. If you're feeling that pull to explore this work, start small. Freedom begins with awareness, and even the tiniest steps can create the biggest shifts. So here's what I'd like to hear from you. What does embodiment mean to you? How do you bring it into your everyday life? If you could let go of one distraction or belief that keeps you from feeling fully present, what would it be? Share your thoughts with me anytime on Instagram at Rooted Exchange or over on our Buy Me a Coffee page. Your voice matters here. These conversations are what make this community so powerful. And if you felt connected to Kelly's story and teachings, you can find her offerings at kellynaiwellness.com. Her links are in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, for showing up for yourself, and for being a part of this growing community. Take what you need, leave what you can, stay rooted. Until next time.